You know that light, crispy, perfectly fried shrimp or vegetable that just melts in your mouth? We all know and love tempura. It feels like the absolute essence of Japanese cuisine. But what if I told you its story begins somewhere completely different? I mean, when you think of Japanese food, it's right up there. It's become this global culinary ambassador for Japan, probably its most famous fried food. But its story is just full of surprises. I mean, just look at it. It's a true culinary art form, a dish that seems so deeply and fundamentally Japanese. You can just see the complexity, right? That delicate batter, the super fresh ingredients. It really feels like it could only have come from Japan. But what if that's not the whole story? Not even close. What if the origins of this iconic dish actually lie thousands of miles away, on the other side of the globe? So let's trace its completely unexpected journey. Yep, you heard that right. The first chapter of our story doesn't start in Tokyo or even Kyoto. It starts in Lisbon, Portugal. The secret to tempura's past is all wrapped up in this fascinating history of trade, religion, and cultural exchange. So let's wind the clock all the way back to the mid-16th century. When Portuguese traders and Jesuit missionaries first arrived in Japan, they brought more than just firearms and religion with them. They brought their recipes. And one of them, believe it or not, was about to change Japanese cuisine forever. Okay, so say hello to the ancestor of tempura. It's a pretty humble Portuguese dish called peixinhos da horta, which translates to little fish from the garden. I love that. It was really just a simple, practical way to make vegetables a little more substantial, especially during religious fasting periods when meat was off the menu. So, how in the world did we get from little fish from the garden to tempura? Well, the name itself holds the biggest clue to its origins, and it actually has nothing to do with food at all. And here it is, the big aha moment. The Portuguese missionaries observed the Quator Tempura, or the Ember Days. These were times of fasting when they couldn't eat meat, so to sustain themselves, they would fry vegetables. The Japanese heard them use the word tempura, associated it with this specific style of cooking, and boom, the name tempura was born. But listen, while the idea may have been imported, the perfection of tempura is a uniquely Japanese story. The dish went through this massive transformation, what you might call a serious glow-up, during Japan's Edo period. And the evolution was just dramatic. The Portuguese original, it used a thick, heavy batter that was fried in lard. The Japanese refined this completely, creating an impossibly light, crispy batter with low-gluten flour and ice water. That combo is the secret sauce. Less gluten means it's not chewy, and that ice-cold batter hitting the hot oil is what creates that signature delicate, lacy crust. They also switched to cleaner-tasting vegetable and sesame oils and started using the technique on all the amazing fresh seafood from Tokyo Bay. And what's so interesting is that tempura didn't start out as some fancy, high-end cuisine in Japan. Not at all. It first became a sensation as a street food. In the bustling, fast-growing city of Edo, you had this whole new class of merchants and artisans who needed quick, satisfying meals. Street stalls, called yatai, popped up to meet that demand, serving these freshly fried morsels to the masses. It was fast, it was convenient, and it was absolutely delicious. So from those humble street stalls, tempura eventually moved into restaurants. And this is where it was truly elevated into a culinary art form, governed by this really strict philosophy of precision, balance, and just a deep respect for nature. This whole philosophy is what makes tempura so special today. It's all about shun, which means using ingredients only when they're at their absolute seasonal peak. The technique became everything. That ice-cold batter hitting precisely heated oil creates a delicate shell. And this shell doesn't just fry the outside, it traps moisture, essentially steaming the ingredient inside, locking in its pure natural flavor. It's genius. And of course, the dish just kept evolving within Japan. In the Kanto region around Tokyo, you'll typically find a golden, crispy tempura because of an egg-based batter and sesame oil. But head over to the Kansai region near Osaka, and it's often a whiter, more delicate version served simply with flavored salt, just to highlight the ingredient's natural taste. So, after completing its journey from a Portuguese necessity to a Japanese art form, tempura has now traveled the globe all over again, becoming this beloved dish pretty much everywhere. When you map it out, this 400-year journey is just incredible, isn't it? From a religious fasting food to a street snack to a refined culinary art, and now to a global icon you can find in Michelin-starred restaurants and casual neighborhood spots alike. each stage built upon the last to create the dish we know and love today. But, the journey isn't over. Today, tempura is facing some very modern challenges. Chefs are grappling with how to source sustainable seafood, how to compete with other popular fried foods, and they're facing that constant pressure to innovate without losing the soul of the tradition. It's a really delicate balancing act. So, the next time you bite into a piece of that perfectly fried tempura, remember its incredible history. It's a story of cultural fusion, culinary genius, and constant evolution. And it leaves us with one final question. What does the future hold for this 400-year-old global icon?